What's up, everybody? Heard this out here. Tried to record this video earlier, and I keep getting interrupted by kids. Alright, what was I talking about? Okay, yes. So, everybody... patch just got released, and people are already talking about 10.0, 10.0 wish list, so I wanted to kind of give my 10.0 wish list down, actually. What am I doing here? Okay, so 10.0. First thing I think, and this is on a lot of people's wish list, is cross-faction rating. Where are you, Poco? Are you supposed to do something? Yeah, you look for noteworthy objects. Oh, there you are. So, cross-faction rating. So they said in 9.2.5 they're going to implement the cross-faction group finder. And I think that's kind of the test to see how it goes, to make sure they don't break anything fundamentally in the game. Yeah, so they're going to do that. And so then I hope they actually go to cross-faction guilds, cross-faction rating. I even think we're to the point where I think cross-server rating is needed. Something with that, something along those lines. Because I think the game is so old in its lifespan, and I think the game population base is so spread out that would actually help alleviate a lot of things in the game, with finding competent groups, finding competent players, fixing economy problems. So yeah, I hope ultimately that. And I think that's what they're going to do. They just got to work out some technical limitations to it, and hopefully that's the reason why they've been holding on to it. Not is just kind of a, yeah. I'll leave that there. So things I want to see fixed in 10.0. Legendaries. I think the legendary system as we have it now is fundamentally broken, and it's the worst iteration of legendaries that we've had ever in the game. So they did this thing where there's a lot of options and none of them are worthwhile. Well, a few are very worthwhile. So you got all these options. I mean, here's looking at you. Phantasma Lure, Third Eye of the Jailer, Cephus. So I think there's and Blizzard does this a lot, where they kind of, instead of making very specific, interesting interactions, they just make a lot of options and say, "Hey, you've got a good choice here." No, we got a lot of choices, and very few good ones. God, imagine being this patch without being a demon hunter. It would be miserable. Oh God, goblin gliders. You need goblin gliders too, if you're not a demon hunter. So anyways, yeah, legendaries, I think they need to be fixed. I don't think there should be this million per class. Definitely shouldn't be craftable, because, like I said, that it's for the groups that that are it's so. And I think it depends on where you are. So if you're part of a well-organized, well-run guild group, then this system is actually great for you. This is it. You got people to craft for you that need to. It's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. This is those that the haves, those who are in well-organized, well-run groups are great. They love this system, and it's great for you. Those that aren't are really feeling the pinch on this. So yeah, there's a lot, and I think there's some problems with Torghast, but I'll get to the Torghast later. So yeah, I hope they can come up with a better system for legendaries. Legion legendaries, especially at the end, Legion legendaries, because yeah. Oh, That's what I need to do. Right. Bzah. Shooting lasers at it. Oh, I blew it up. Is that what I was supposed to do? Blow them up? Oh, they're chickens. Robot chickens. Wait, this is so weird. So, yeah. Legendaries, yeah. I major overhaul, possibly do the Legion Legendary system where it's, you can get it for doing any content, no matter what you're doing. And I'll kind of get to that because it kind of leads into the conduit. It's kind of the similar problem with conduits. Doing the content that you want to do should be able to give you the rewards, especially for like whole expansion-wide reward systems like the conduits, legendaries, and then eliminate like the useless choices. I would be much happier if every class had like 2 legendaries that were actually impactful, like say a Mythic Plus legendary and a Raid legendary. I would be much happier with that system than the lots of choices that aren't really choices. Okay, moving on to the solo player experience. So Torghast, the Torghast type system. So the problems we have, the problems that exist with Torghast isn't so much. I have no problems with it being tied to some kind of player power, like your legendary grinding, your legendary resource to craft your legendaries. That isn't the ultimate problem with Torghast. So the problem with Torghast is it shouldn't be a pain to do all the time. So I know this sounds like, oh, you just want everything handed to you, WoW player. No. This isn't the Wrath Baby in me. This is the fact that when it starts out, yes, I'm okay with it being a challenge. The first week, month, half of the patch cycle, I'm okay with it being the challenge. First time you run it. But one of the things that was interesting, if we think back to the Visions of N'Zoth system, that was really interesting because it's self-nerfed. As you ran the Visions of N'Zoth, you got whatever the resource was to upgrade your talent tree to make you more powerful, so you could stay longer in the visions, you could be fast, you could complete your visions faster, you could do more damage, everything else. And that's actually really great because it self-nerfs, and that's what WoW does, is it content is supposed to self-nerf. So, I mean, look at something like raiding. You kill bosses, you get gear, you get more powerful to kill more bosses. That's the purpose of it. That's the purpose behind the gearing system, to make you more powerful to kill more, so you can kill more bosses to get more gear, to become more powerful to get kill more bosses. I think that principle kind of got lost with some of this other stuff. Is you should find a way to self-nerf content, whether it be through gearing, whether it be through whatever special talent tree they're going to give us. What's this up here? I think Poppycock is telling me something. Aha. Yeah. Nope. Back off. Ooh. I said back off. So, and that's what they did in Vision. And it sounded like they were starting. I thought they were going to really do that with when they added the box of many things in patch 9.15, and then they kind of nerfed Torghast, made it easier, reducing the amount of wings it could take, or reducing the levels to 5 and so on. So they kind of had the idea, but then I don't think they fully did it enough, because ultimately, even with a fully filled out box, it still takes time to run Torghast, and that so. It's fine and fun the first time you do it. When you're, 2 years, a year and a half into the patch, or into the expansion. So that's 80 weeks into it, running it. every week, then it becomes a drag. Um, and so that type of content should get easier over time, and I really hope they remember that. So yeah, the self nerfing, the solo content. I think that content should still be in the game because that there's a definite place for it, and there's a definite need for it. It has a definite use and place for it in the game. Conduits. So what I really hope is we don't have a system, an endless grind system that has a pointless endless grind. So, not to say endless grind. I guess endless grind is probably the bad term because an endless grind isn't bad. I can see where it has problems. So the Legion artifact system in and of itself wasn't bad because of the endless grind. There are other problems with the Legion artifact system that needed to be fixed, and they kind of got there. And then I think they just kind of forgot every lesson they learned from that expansion. Because Legion was very interesting in that it taught. There's a lot of lessons that they learned, and then I think they kind of forgot them all as they were going on in development. And kind of Legion's I think Legion's kind of the benchmark for truly modern, current WoW, because a lot of the systems they put in place, and some people really love Legion, some people really hate Legion. It was just really interesting, and I think that's a video for later. But and how so back to what I was talking about with endless grinds. So the grinding the artifact power for your Legion weapon wasn't necessarily bad because everything you did, no matter what you were doing, tied to that, fed into that power system. And now we've got a lot of the segmented stuff, but what was nice was anything you did gave you that artifact power. Whether it was PvP, whether it was PvE, whether it was raiding, whether it was dungeons, Mythic Plus, world quests, gave you the artifact power. So the problem is with conduits, and again, they did this thing with conduits where they had a lot of options for it. It's what? Let's take a look. There we go. Conduits. Boom, boom, boom. You got all these options here. And very few of them are worthwhile. Very few of them are actually worth it. There's a lot of options. And let's be honest. For the majority of them, the power gates are very minimal. But when it first launched too, you had to get the 180, then you had to get the 190, then you had to get the 200 version, then you had to get the 213 version, then you had to get the 226 version, and then you had to get the 233 version, the 252 version, and now it's what, 260, 270, whatever it is. And you have to get each and every one of them, or at least the specific ones that are worthwhile, and you have to do content, this range of content that isn't self-nerfing, that isn't becoming easier throughout, to get those and to grind those out. So I think one of the things that would have made this a lot easier of a system is, okay, you can do whatever you want, and we'll give you a conduit here. Okay, here's a conduit. And then as it goes on, they should be just putting everything you run. Okay, here's a conduit. Here's a conduit. Here's a conduit. Okay, you just ran a heroic dungeon. Here's a conduit. You just ran a mythic dungeon. Here's a conduit. Oh, here. Okay, here's the 213, and then it should constantly, and then getting doubles of the same one just seems if you didn't turn it in time. So as you're gearing up alts, so there was a lot of problems with that. So hopefully they learned their lessons and can look to the old content to learn their lessons of these grinds. Not to say endless grinds aren't bad. I think it gives you something to do. I think they have to be careful how they implement them, and so on. Yeah, that's probably, I might be able to go. I think I spent way too much time on that. Old content. So, time walking. Time walking, I think, needs an overhaul. What is this thing doing? I'll do it later. Okay, so time walking, I think, needs an overhaul. we've got what? How many expansions now? BC, Wrath, Cataclysm, Pandaria, Wad, Legion, and then they'll add BFA halfway through. They'll add that. So you're gonna have what, 7 expansions worth of time walking, and if it comes up every 4 weeks, that's 28 weeks. So you're only going to get one of the time walking or you'll get it twice a year. Twice a year, you will see time walking. That's nuts. So that's twice a year you'll only see the Mage Tower. That's twice a year you'll only see BC stuff. And granted, it's not like super powerful. It's not super game breaking content. It's not necessarily super engaging content. But it's content. And it's actually easy content. And it's fun content. That kind of fun content. And because right now we've got probably a significant portion of the player base who's never seen some of these expansions in level. So what I'd like to see is more of these. I think time walking should be up every week. I think time walking should be up every week, and they can mess with the power rewards that you get for it. Although I think the one piece of 226 isn't that impactful, or the one piece of normal raid gear, whatever they're giving, isn't the end all be all game breaking for the system. But I think you can be careful with it. We can tweak the rewards, but I think time walking should be up all the time, and just cycle through it week after week after week, which one it is, and then you can have your weekend event be whatever. So I think it's time to do that, especially now that we have all of these expansions that are in time walking. Also, old content. I think there should be. Then they can also feed into a more. You can make the system more immersive. So, transmogs feed into that because that's what people love about it. Transmogs. It's a great system you've put in the game. I think there's development there that can be done. Also, talking about old content, we've got 3 expansions worth of dungeons. And I think this is a big problem that Shadowlands had over the others. So let's see, there's 4, 8, 11 dungeons, Battle for Azeroth. 4, 8, 12, 13 dungeons, Legion. Shadowlands, 9. They added 1. So we had 8, and they added 1. That's a big problem. But there's a very simple fix to this. You have 3 expansions worth of dungeons. So when it comes to 10.0, whether it be Dragon Isles or whatever, so they can have their 6, 7, 8 dragon themed dungeons. Because that's the running joke now, Dragon Isles. I'm sure there'll be another leak incoming this week. So you have all of these dungeons. You've got 20 plus dungeons, almost 30 dungeons worth of Mythic Plus already in the game. And they proved that it works. They added the Legion time walking. With Legion time walking, they added the Mythic Keystone system to it. So you have 30 plus dungeons already in the game that work for Mythic Plus. We know they work for Mythic Plus. That means I think every season they should add 4 or 5 dungeons from these past sets to the Mythic Plus season. And then they can cycle through it every season. You add 4 or 5 more. So what that does is it kind of capitalizes their time so they can develop. They only need to develop the 6 dungeons. Then you add a new dungeon halfway through the expansion. Because that's kind of expected now, is you have to add a new dungeon, and then they'll break that up into two pieces later. We've kind of set that standard. So you've already got 30 plus dungeons already in the game that you can easily add 5. You pull 5 of them out, you add them to the season, you rotate through to the next season. I I mean, I'm sure there's some that you can take out because there are some that aren't popular. But yeah, it's I think it's a way to generate content without having to put a whole lot of work into generating content, which would be nice. And there was one other point I wanted to make, and I lost it. So yeah, I get so basically, like I said, legendaries. I want to see a fix of that. Um, Tweak your endless grinds. Get rid of conduits. Goodbye. Uh, uh, and the old content. So yeah, that's about all I had. Yeah, let me know what you think. Peace.